Is there anybody out there receiving this transmission? This is...
This is composer Joel Steudler, and I'm here to talk to you about the music in Starship Command, Orion Spur. The music, right. The first thing, probably, that I ought to talk about is how the music in this game is part of a larger tapestry of sound that has been woven over many years, because the Terran Diaspora media empire, we'll call it a media empire. The Terran Diaspora media empire, it's not new. It's been around for quite a while, and I have been working with author Daniel Gibbs all this time. In fact, if you go way back, one of the very first projects was intended to be a live-action television series based on these ideas. At the time, it was called Echoes of the Past, but that's just all in the past now. So for quite a while, there have been musical ideas floating around this franchise. You might be wondering, where did those ideas come from? It might not surprise you to know that I am a fan of science fiction, and I've watched a lot of shows and movies in that genre. One of the primary influences on my musical development was Star Wars and John Williams. In the music for the Star Wars movies, John Williams uses a technique called leitmotif. What that means is specific musical phrases become associated with characters or locations or organizations within the story to build familiarity, and those themes can be repeated and developed in different ways to enhance the drama and emotion of whatever is going on in the particular media that music is appearing in. The sci-fi movies that I grew up with have always been remembered for their bold musical themes, not just Star Wars, but The Last Starfighter, or Basil Poledouris' score for Starship Troopers, and Jerry Goldsmith's Star Trek music. All of those themes are instantly memorable, so I definitely wanted to establish thematic elements for the Terran Diaspora media empire that would have that same effect. Ultimately, it's up to the audience to decide whether or not I've succeeded, but that was my intent, and so I developed themes for the Coalition, a battle motif for the CDF, and of course, some bad guy music for the League of Sol. Originally, before Space Captain Gibbs had plotted a course for a 40-book series, and counting, there was just one book, and it was pretty specifically about the lead character David Cohen, who goes on to become the commanding officer of the Line of Judah. I developed a theme for him as well. And that came in pretty handy later on. In 2024, Commandant Gibbs decided to fund the production of a full audio drama with a load of voice acting talent and a full musical score by me, although it did not deal with David Cohen, but rather his father Levi. So of course I then adapted the original theme that was to be David's into Levi's motif for the audio drama. I don't know, I thought that was cool, and established continuity within the universe. Leitmotif. That's what it's for. If you had no idea the audio drama even existed, Well, it does, and I will tell them to put a link down below in the description of this video so you can go find it and purchase it forthwith. And listen, you'll probably enjoy it. But enough of all that claptrap. This is supposed to be about the game, Starship Command, Orion Spur. And so we'll talk about the music for that now. So of course, the first thing that I did was to begin preparing scores for our studio orchestra. Oh. Huh. Yeah. No, we don't have one of those. My tools are a bit more limited. It's fine. Most games these days use a dynamic music system where the music can respond to events in progress and further immerse you in the universe of the game. Which, that's great and cool. I've always felt that there are some drawbacks to dynamic music systems, mainly that they tend to produce less memorable musical moments, because you're really giving up control as the composer of when people will experience particular melodies or textures or musical ideas. But there are also drawbacks to using static music tracks because they don't react to what's going on, so you might have very action-packed music playing during a moment of calm, for example. At the risk of reinventing the wheel, we decided to try our own approach to a hybrid dynamic music system. At least for the present, we have settled on using 20-second long blocks of music that connect seamlessly to each other, and the game can transition between elements of high-intensity danger down to a more low-grade ambient tension. It also allows us to introduce different thematic elements for events in the game, like victory in a scenario, or when reinforcements show up, or when the enemy destroys one of your allies' ships. There will also be more traditional tracks composed for dramatic moments and cinematics that will be scored specifically to those scenes. This is all subject to change as development progresses, but that's where we're at right now. Eventually, I will make suite arrangements out of the dynamic music blocks so that you can listen to them in a soundtrack album. I think it's about time that I wrap up this meandering diatribe about the music in Starship Command, Orion Spur. And I will thank Commissar Gibbs for his gracious invitation to address you, the audience of the game. And who knows, if nobody fires me, maybe I'll be back to talk to you again. Here's some music. like, and subscribe to Starship Command, Orion Spur.